I'd like to call upon Jeff Lang. Jeff is not unfamiliar to us. He's been here to talk to us in the past about their work in Sudan.
Good morning, everybody. It's my privilege this morning. I actually have two introductions to make today. I'm going to introduce a young London businessman, entrepreneur. I'm also going to introduce a very good friend, a humanitarian, in the second part. Stephen Bucciarelli is a successful London businessman, president of Predator Bird Services. Stephen has managed to figure out what most of us have been trying to do our entire lives. He's been able to figure out very quickly. He found something he loves to do, and he's figured out a way to be paid to do it. And he's very successful. He has upwards of 20 employees, 18 to 20 employees at any given time, 50 raptors that he uses to do animal control at some of the biggest institutions and industries in Canada, and he's now working around the world. Stephen called me about a year and a half ago, I believe, after a newspaper article. We were doing some work in Africa on a farm, and the newspaper suggested that we were having a significant problem with birds. So this kid comes in, and he says to me, "I can fix your bird problem." Now, we've been in Africa for 6 years now, and this is a major issue. The birds consumed almost 70% of our crop last year. And so we needed to do something. We're looking at a number of different options. Stephen walks into my office and says, "I can help. I want to go." And I explained to Stephen, I said, "Do you know where you're going? Do you know all about the history of this area?" "Yep, I can fix your problem." And a lot of people approach us with offers to help, but it's difficult to help there. But not with Stephen. 6 months later, we're planning our trip to Sudan. Stephen, since then, has been there twice. Actually, you were there twice in 3 months. The project is working very well. It's very, very successful. Stephen is a humanitarian, and he's become a very, very good friend. We've been through some difficult times over in Africa together, and it's my honor to introduce the young man that is doing wonderful things. And I'm not going to talk about Africa because I'm going to let him talk about that. But
I want to start by thanking your group for the donation. Before I even get started, the Rotary gave us $1,000, which went a very long way. Every dollar for this project, it magnifies huge, and we definitely felt it, so thank you very much. I also want to thank Ashley for his individual contribution. Yeah, so this is a little map of Africa to give you an idea of where we were. We flew all the way across the top of the planet to Amsterdam, and then down to Kenya, right over there, and then up to Juba in South Sudan, and we're right about here is where we were. So yeah, so this is Juba, this is where we were, right down in the south, and if people have been watching the news, you know there's all kinds of fun, exciting things going on in Sudan. This is their new border. Southern Sudan is the newest country in the world, and this whole thing was one country until July 9th when it separated. This border is a conflict area. There's one spot called Abyei. I'm not sure exactly where along the border it is, but that's where there are oil fields, and the people from the north and the south are fighting over it. It's mostly the people from the north who want to take it over, and that's the origin of most of the violence. The southern people are mostly tribal people, and they prefer to keep to their cows. They fight between each other, but it's nothing like what happens at the border. So, yeah, so that's Sudan. A little bit about CDAS. It's a group of just grassroots people from London. We're firefighters, and police officers, and farmers, business people who just got together and decided that we need to help these people in South Sudan. And what's happening there is these people have a new nation, and they really want to make something of themselves in the world. They want an economy, they want to bring money in, they want to grow and learn. And you can see that in the people. The second time I went there, there's construction going on, and everybody's working hard. And the first time I went, there was nothing happening. You can't get to nothing like that around here. In terms of what actually goes on over there. I mean, people sitting on the side of the road staring into space. And the women worked hard, but the men were doing nothing. And And I want to get this point across to you. You couldn't do less. Like, but you know what? Last time I went, the second time I went, very different place. Very different place. They had put their government together. They had elected governors. They had the president started making decisions on what they were going to do. Just in the 2 days before, they had announced who would be in the government. And so it's a very state-regulated place. And the government is the group who gives everybody permission to do anything. You want to open a business there, you want to do anything at all, you need the sanction of the government. You need the government to say, yeah, that's a good idea. You need the governor who's in your area to say that's okay. And otherwise, you're not doing anything. And that had just happened. So when I got there, everybody started to get permission. The place was alive, and everybody was working really hard. So it was really nice to see. These are some of the people who, the native people who live near our farm. They're from the Bari tribe, B-A-R-I. And this is just a few weeks ago. This isn't 10 years ago or anything. I took this with my BlackBerry 3 weeks ago. And these guys, they were going leopard hunting. They came to a meeting with Jeff and I and David Tennant with their bows and arrows and their machetes and spears. And they were off to the bush after this. These people have no shoes, nothing really to speak to themselves other than their bow and arrow, their mud pipe, and the ability to build fire. They really don't have very much. But these people, they know how to live like that. And they're very good at it. They're happy. They're pretty happy. So we'll go to the next slide. This is just one of the little birds we caught. So what I was doing when we got there, the first thing we did was we put up some big nets. And these nets catch birds as they fly into them. We wanted to see what kind of volume we were getting in these fields. The first trip over, I went for 2 stints of about 10 days each. And the first one, I got there, and I just wanted to see, like, is this even possible, what I want to do here? I had no idea what this up against. I just know I wanted to help. So we went over, we put up these big mist nets, and we cut the field into about 6 different pieces with the nets. And what happens is, as the birds fly across the field, they can't see these nets, they fly into them, and they get caught. And they're caught alive, we go and take them out. And this is a bird that's not intrusive to our crop at all. It's called a forest kingfisher, brown-headed kingfisher, but they live in the forest. And they don't eat fish at all. I don't know if people know what a kingfisher is here. They just live along the creek, and when they see a fish, they dive right in after it. Over there, the kingfishers, they eat lizards. There's lizards everywhere. You sit under a tree for 5 minutes and just look up, and it's just moving. There's lizards all over the place. So every color, you can imagine these lizards. So that's what these guys do. And yeah, so the birds there, this is called an addis. You never know what you're gonna see. The wildlife is so bizarre over there. And it's such a gift to be able to work with it. We came over this morning one day on the road that I'll show you pictures of. And there was an addis standing there. And that bird in the picture is about this tall. And it's just like checkered with white and red and yellow. But it's nonstop. And this is called a bee eater. They're everywhere too. You drive along, they're floating around. That picture doesn't really get the point across. It's fluorescent orange. Yeah, everything from monkeys to gazelles to mongoose to everything on that farm. So the tracks, to tell you about them shortly. So these are some of the women who are working over there. Every morning, we would wake up and we get in the truck and we start to drive. And the funnest trips were when Jack was in the car for his commentary. But the women wake up in the morning and they go right to work. And the first thing they do generally is they go out to get water. So these women are carrying not water in the head, they're just carrying, I guess it's probably seed or food home. But they all carry everything on their head. So some of them are carrying these big jugs, like 20, 30 liters of water, right on their head, just walking down the road like this. Like, it's no big deal. And, you know, I'm from Canada, I live in North London, and I'm like, holy smokes, you know. So at the same time you're driving, there's goats crossing the road everywhere. There's cows, there's dogs, and they're so determined. All these different beings are so determinedly walking in different directions, but it really doesn't seem like very much is getting done. Not the first time I was there anyways. Just swarms of everything. You're stopping and you're starting. There's motorcycles going by at like 1 to 4 people usually on these motorcycles. Some of them are carrying a big fish on the back, like a 400-pound Nile perch. they're charcoal. It's just, the whole thing is very, very different than here. So this is just a few of the women walking down the road near our farm. This is right outside our safe camp at the Oasis. These are, one second here. I gotta use this thing. Here's some goats. They found a nice, cool little place to sleep. This is one of the demining trucks that was on our road. So they build them so a mine can basically go off underneath and they're still good to go. They came by one day. So this is one of our nets here. This is called a mannequin, and that's Moses. He was kind of our main guy over there, and he still is. So I still talk to Moses about 2 to 3 times a week. He's the one who we trained to be a falconer, basically, and now he's teaching everybody else over there how to do it. So now this is, they call it our farm the Jebel Lado, and that's the Jebel Mountain, I believe. Is that how it goes, Jebel Lado Mountains, sorry. Yeah, so here's a couple views of. This is a hunter I bumped into outside of our compound, and he insisted on putting his shirt on. I wanted a picture, you know, an African hunter with, you know, he was out hunting, no shirt, just bare feet in those pants, and he had his shirt tucked in his pocket so things couldn't see him coming. And I said, "Oh, can I take a picture?" He says, Yeah. He wanted to put his shirt on because he's proud of his clothes. You know, they don't have clothes like us, so he wanted to show the world his shirt. So, anyways, he put his shirt on, and he was hunting guinea hens. They're a little chicken-like thing. It's just one of the birds we caught. Oh, even their sparrows are blue. So this is one of the falcons we trapped. So it took us, when I first got there, it took me 2.5 days to catch the first falcon that we wanted to work with. Here, you want a bird, you go to African Line Safari, you take your checkbook, you're ready to check, bring a bird home. There, you're already on that African Line Pike. We had no clue what we're going to catch. We caught every bird under the sun. It was amazing. And I didn't know what they were, but just looking at them and just their wing shape and everything, and watching some of them hunt, we knew, okay, like that color, those birds, they're hunting birds all day, and they're going to be easily trainable for these reasons. So that was the one we picked. I found out 2 days later what species it was and everything, but yeah, so that was a gray kestrel, and we ended up catching a whole bunch of them. And training them and taking them with us to the safe camp to sleep at night in the shower and everything. So I'll get into that in a minute. Yeah, so this is one of the elders. I've forgotten his name. Most of their names are, well, oddly enough, a lot of their names are like Bill and Jenny and like North American normal names. But anyways, he definitely didn't have one that was easily pronounceable. And that's Moses again. And what we're doing here is we're building a guinea hen trap. So part of our field, we had these, it's like a chicken with little white spots. They're all black, and they got a red face. And they were coming into our cornfield, and they knew about this far to dig a hole along where the blade had gone in to put the seeds in. And they were taking the seeds of the sprouts out of our field. They can't smell. These birds have no sense of smell. They just knew what the distance was. And so there's systematically about 30 or 40 of them coming into our field, digging every line maybe 30 feet long. And underneath it, nooses hung like this. And they put it in openings in the bush. And they ran it about this high off the ground, about 18 inches off the ground, 16 inches. And as the guinea hens run along, they put their head under this line running across the ground. They get their neck stuck in one of these nooses, and then they just sit there and wait for you to show up. And that's really handy for these people because they don't have fridges. So everything needs to be alive to keep it fresh. So we made, I went out with some of the guys in the bush, and they showed me these traps, and I said, oh, let's catch some guinea hens. So I said, what's the biggest one you have? And they said, oh, 30 feet, that's the biggest you can make it. I said, why? And they're like, because, it's going to be too big otherwise. I said, well, why don't we just try? So we made one that went all the way around the 10-acre field. And, these guys were just like, this is, you can't do this. Sure enough, we caught tons of guinea hens. And when we gave them all of these guys to eat, they were just the happiest campers on the planet. This is their diet. One day, we were driving, well, that's too many stories. Anyways, these are some mountains in Morocco we flew over there, pretty cool. Not sure if that picture is going across or not, but there we go. So that's what South Sudan looks like from the air. It's very flat, lots of open grass lands and acacia trees. Acacia trees are the ones you see in pictures of Africa. They have the flat platforms, but they're very, very thorny. The thorns in these trees are unbelievable. And actually giraffes have a special tongue made so that they can pull the leaves off these things and not get injured by the thorns. But walking through that bush is, it just tears you apart. But these guys, they can run right through it, no problem. So they looked at me, they're like, oh, you know, he's too soft in the bush. You know? Okay. So, but they were right, you know, I'm trying to keep up with them. And holy smokes, those guys are tough. So this is the airport in Juba. And we were very, I would say, privileged to, especially the first time we went. There was only 4 of us on our plane, and really, there was maybe a couple other people. But we got off, and you're not allowed to take pictures at the airport. They throw you right in jail because they think you're a spy. So, you know, I snapped some of these pictures from inside the plane. But as you drive through, it's all UN helicopters, UN private jets, and then few commercial airlines. There's these pilots are wild. Like, you think Air Canada's rough? They would stand at the end of that runway, floor it, and wait on the way in and the way out. Wait till the plane gets full throttle, and then, you know, let the brake go, and you just blast off down the runway like a rocket ship. And as you're going by, there's like a burnt out fighter jet on the side of the runway. You know, they just leave them there. Nobody cleans them up. So that was one of the UN jets that we went by. I took that one through the window as well. I'll tell you a little bit more about the airport a bit here. Oh, that was at the safe house in Kenya we stayed at. One of the girls just had a baby while we were there, and it wasn't mine. So these are these little gray kestrels we had. We ended up taking these little guys everywhere with us, and they got to meet all the people there. It was pretty neat. We took them in the car with us. Because I only had this much time. The more time you spend with these birds, the faster you can train them. So I took them home every night. I took them with me everywhere I went. I trained them 3 times a day. And the first one that we trained, I had them free on the last day that I was there, but we only had them for about 5 days, which is the fastest I've ever trained anything. But it's just because when you're there, your time's really short, right? So you got to make it count. The second time we went, we had one flying free for a few days after we caught some new ones, and the guys had worked with them as much as they could before I got there. And then once I got there, we got the bird flying free, and I taught them how to walk, and the bird followed them along. And now I just talked to Moses yesterday, and he's got the falcons every day flying free, following around the farm. And I'll tell you in a couple minutes how we set the whole thing up, but they're keeping all the birds out of the crops there. So yeah, so there's a couple more pictures before we get into the farm. This is our Land Cruiser. Everything there is Toyota. They're all Toyota trucks. There's a couple other imported vehicles there, but North American vehicles do not last in those roads. They just die. Like, they just can't do it. We had a flat tire that day. You don't want flat tires on the side of that road because people might take advantage of you. Probably. But it's just not a situation you want. We changed that flat in about 6 minutes. So yeah. So this is Stu. He's a farmer from Thorndale. I spent most of my days with him, and he was out there for 3 months, 3 or 4 months, in Sudan, in Juba, living at the Oasis camp where we stayed and working on this farm. And the man is a saint. If you get a chance to meet him, it's a treat by all means to do that. He really pulled that project along. So this is the corn, and this is some part of the damage we're looking at from the birds. Here's a regular corn stalk going up, and a regular cob of corn. This is the same corn we have in Southern Ontario. Everything's the same. These are little offshoots corn, and from what I understand, they're either improperly planted stalks or broken seeds, and they're not exactly harvestable. They're not the actual cobs of corn that we want to harvest. So these cobs are the ones that we wanted to keep on the plants, and they're the ones that are actually producing our yield. These other ones right beside them here are not, from what I understand. Now, what happened was when I first got there, the birds could open these smaller cobs up, and they were starting to eat them. And what the bird that goes in here is a weaverfinch, and these birds have very strong beaks. They can really tear the corn apart. So they were getting on top of these smaller cobs of corn and just ripping them open and then eating the corn off the cob. Well, they can't get into the bigger cobs because they're tougher to open. They're a bigger, stronger husk around them. And but when all the little ones run out, the birds have nothing to eat. So then they start breaking into the big ones. And we knew this was going to happen. So we started to put the pressure on the birds so that wouldn't happen. This is a thunderstorm coming across. You can see forever out there, and you can see this thunderstorm happening 10 or 15 miles away. That's at the same time I took that picture. That's the mountain in the background there. Now that's the sorghum field. Can you go back one? This is the sorghum field. So this is a bit of a different crop. The plant looks a lot like corn, but on the actual bloom of it is on top. It's like, and the seeds are right out in the open. And this is what we really had the problem with the birds on. The birds could just land on the thing. Does anybody hear of a small like parrot or anything and give it millet? Well, it's basically a seed in a cone shape, and in a cone shaped bloom, and there's lots of little seeds on it. Well, the birds saw this, and like I've never ever seen birds take over anybody's anything like this before. It was wild what they were trying to do in this field, and we recovered a small amount of this crop. Unfortunately, this was before we really got our program going there, that these birds got into this crop, and before I really understood what the problem was over there that they did this. But they, by the tens of thousands, came in and just devoured our crop. And this is what these poor guys have been dealing with for the last 6 years, is just trying to plant sorghum and it disappears on them. So fortunately, at the same time as this is going on, there's other birds trying to eat the small birds. And that's where we got our falcons from. We caught them right on the farm. So that's why the men out there now who are working with the falcons, they're having an easy time to keep the falcons there because they've already got a little territory set up. It all worked out pretty nicely. When you fly them in the same place every day, they tend to stay there. So this is the initial reason we went. And we know now that sorghum is a very, especially in this area, just because we're surrounded by all the bush and whatnot, it's a very difficult crop to actually keep there. And it's difficult to defend. So we're hoping next year that, with a bit of help from falconry, we're going to plant a smaller field of sorghum and, go for a better yield. Now, sorghum's it's a good food for the people. It can be their staple diet. They can boil it. They can also be sold commercially there pretty easily. So we can use the profits to either grow the farm or contribute to the village that we're working with. So this is one of our little falcons. He's wearing a hood. We ordered a bunch of equipment from all over the world and brought it in. And so this is in the back is our falcon pen. I think there's better pictures of it in there. But yeah, we had to use white everything because it's just so hot there. If you use the black hood on the bird, it just cooks the thing's head on you. So so this one night I was just going back to my room, there's praying mantis on the door, you never know. And then my mosquito net, you gotta sleep with a mosquito net. I think it's still got malaria. But there's a little house gecko that lives on a mosquito net every night eating the bugs that got in, but the net's full of holes, like it's happening. Can't hear things over there. This is a little lizard I caught. I tried every day to catch one of these things because they're so fast. Finally I got one. Oh, this is the little galley house. This is the gourmet dining in Juba, where Jeff and I were just talking about it. So this is the menu. They come out with a chalkboard and ask you what you want. And it was actually really nice. And they had Al Jazeera playing on the, it's interesting to see the news from all different parts of the world. They had that playing, and there's reporters staying there from all over the world. You've seen them on TV. It's kind of neat to see them out there. So this little guy, that was like the dog at Oasis Camp. It's called a dik-dik. It's a little deer that runs around, and he'll beg for food from you from the table. He comes up, he wants something. So this is another bird we saw So every morning you wake up to this like horrendous screaming and everything, and they'd be carrying doves around and their babies would be chasing them and everything. And the noise in the morning in this place, you wake up right beside the Nile. Like, I have some pictures. One of our volleyballs went right in the Nile, and like, yeah, right there. So we wake up in the morning, go down here for breakfast or have our dinner down here. But the noise from the wildlife in this, just right in the city where we were, was ridiculous in the morning. You wake up and screaming and cooing, and it's quite the place. So anyway, yeah, and this is one other thing, and out on the farm, you know, you walk around and you see antelope tracks, and you see monkey tracks, and you see a snake track, and you know, I'm always looking at the different tracks walking around, or like stork tracks, and then you see human tracks. There's no one wears shoes. You just go hunting out in the bush with the bare feet, so you need to see that. One other little thing about our crop here, these are termites that had gone after our corn. And they weren't a real factor. Some of the Africans, they like to blow things up, but literally we'd find 2 termite plants in the whole field when we walked it. So, but it was interesting, these little guys would come along, they'd put their dirt all the way around the corn, all the way up, and they'd eat it and carry it back. And then ants would come in a big swarm and like take over all the termites and kill them all, and they carry them back in a big line all the way to their house again. Yeah. So this is one of the birds we're dealing with over there. It's an African mourning dove, and they love them. When we caught those, oh man, these guys, they just, you know, they wanted to eat them right there at this dinner. So a lot of the birds we caught who are pest birds became food for the people as well. And they were very, very happy about that. They wouldn't pay for them for some reason. They would never pay for them because they could shoot them with their slingshot. But they would take them, and they would definitely eat them. So that's another little dick. They keep them on leashes. This is a man, he's sweeping the dirt with a broom he made out of sticks. And that was his job every day, to sweep the dirt. Just thought that was a neat one to throw in there. Yeah, so this is a little, it's just like a sharp-shinned hawk or a Cooper's hawk that you see in your backyard. This is the African equivalent of it. We had a bunch of farm equipment back over here, and I've been at Hawk Cliff with some guys when they've caught these before, and I've seen the things they do with them. So I took that bird, and he's no good. Like, they're very difficult to train as a falconry bird. So these guys who were new to the whole thing, there's no way they could have trained it. So I had to let the thing go. So I took it up, and there's a big grill in front of me with all divided up where all the discs are and everything, all these steel hangers running across, and you can see right through it. I took the bird, and I'm like, watch. I threw it at this thing as hard as I could, and it just went right through it, because they live in the bush. These birds live in the thickest bush, and they can weave through everything. And all the guys are like, oh, and then they see it go through, and they're like, oh, you know?
Lucky you.
Yeah. Oh, I've done it 100 times. They're extremely new. You see how long his tail is? They couldn't hit something if they wanted to. They're very, very nimble. So also their eyes are very close to the front of their head, and they're able to just dodge through things unbelievably. So anyway, okay. So this is what the birds were actually doing to our corn, and we were able to completely prevent this from 90% of our field, and then the parts that were hit were closest to the bush. And but what we did was, our field was long and narrow, and it was about, I'd say, 100 yards wide maybe, and 600, 700 yards long. So what we did was we put all our nets along the short side, and then I started working with the guys every day to fly their falcons on the other end of it. And all the birds that were in the field would just stream down the field into our nets, and we were able to keep it completely empty like that. The big issue with flying your falcons in and having nets is if your falcons see birds in the net, they go over there and get in it too, and then you got a big mess. You got to try to get your bird out. It's grabbing your hand. You got holes everywhere. You're bleeding. It's a big mess. But we were able to, like that, just because of the way the field was made. We were very fortunate to keep complete control of it. This is one other spot. I was trying to get a picture with the tracks in, but this is a monkey. a whole family of baboons moved into our field for a couple days, and we would see them. Slow down. We would see them on the road there. They would, one day we're coming and you look up the road and there's a big monkey looking at you. Go around the corner and it's like, oh, okay. And then you get close and then boom, like a whole herd of them runs off into the bush, right? And I'd never seen a lot of monkeys before. I thought that was pretty cool. And then a day later they're sitting on our farm. We're like, oh, okay, But what they had done is they went up to the corn, they ripped it off, twisted it all up. They took a bite. You could see they'd taken a bite, and they spit it out because they didn't like it and kept going. So we were lucky, I guess. And they still haven't been there. Yeah, this is another one of those bird damage ones. So I'm not sure which kind of bird that is. It's some kind of a bee here, but you never know what you're going to catch down there. So this is a dove trap we made up. These people have, like I said, literally nothing. So we figured out how to make traps just out of a simple piece of string and some seed. What we did was we just tied little snares along, we staked string in to be really tight, and then we made little snares out of fishing line, and we put a bunch of seed in the middle, and the doves come walking along and we just get the foot stuck, and we ended up catching a whole pile of doves on this thing every day. So that's Moses and the little helper we had. So this is the sorghum that we pulled off the field out there. It was, this is not all of it, but we took it off wet. Go back. We took it off the field wet because we were losing it to birds, so we had to kind of cut it off before it was completely ready. And so we were drying it on tarps. And then what happened was birds started to come into our compound and eat it right off these tarps. We had about 8 tarps going at the same time, just drying our sorghum. So we hired some kids to keep the birds away with their slingshots from our corn. We just paid them a soccer ball every day out like that, so that worked pretty well. So this is Moses. So he's the main man that we train there. It's so interesting, the second time I went back, all these people are wearing my clothes. Showed up at the airport, even Stu was wearing my clothes. So, yeah, this is one of the birds. This is a security guard at the gas station. We went to the same gas station like every day. And they got to know us because we're the only white guys, they call us Kawajas. Only white guys around who come for gas, right? So everybody gets to know you pretty quick. So we made friends with them because they had big guns. They're just young. Like this guy's maybe 15. That thing. This is a little falcon we caught. Actually, I didn't catch it. The guys on the compound caught it after I showed them how to catch birds. So it's really rewarding when you teach people all this stuff and you show up and they're doing it on their own. I showed up one morning and they caught that. They caught often in the mornings they'd show up and they'd have something different waiting for me. We let that little guy go. He's a little bit too small for the work that we're doing. It's called the redneck falcon. So here's one of our nets. Up here, a lot of facial hair. So you can see our nets positioned all the way along. We bought bamboo sticks and dug them in and staked them out and just ran the whole end of the field with these nets, and we were able to keep the birds right out with those. It's a monkey. Oh, this is a dowry. So over there, I don't know if this is good or not, or how everybody feels about it, but you can marry as many girls as you want. So.
Oh, I don't agree with that.
And some of the guys we were hanging out with, like they got 4 wives or 8 wives, and 2 guys, I got them going. Jeff told me about this. He's like, actually these wives are better, And the one guy says, oh, my 4 wives are better than your 9 wives, because my 4 wives have 6 kids and your 9 wives have 4 kids. Like, you got a wife, Steve? No. But what they do is they pay the family with cows. So, if I wanted to try to marry Joanne here, I would go to her dad and give her dad 200 cows and she'd be mine. That's how it works. And so, often we'd see these dowries going down the road to the family that's getting the cows. And how good the life is by how many cows there are. So, you know, we'd see these big herds of like 100 or 200 cows going down the road, or, you know, 75 goats, you know. And then, you know, you see one day we saw like 6 cows going down the road, and you're like, oh. Cows, you know. We made a little cage. The kids see the slingshots in their hands there. Somebody did the right thing and donated their leaf. So we used to give these birds to the kids there. They, you know, they'd be out trying to shoot dinner with the bare feet, so we would just give them whatever we thought. This is Wani. He's a young guy we hired. These people just came out literally out of the woodwork. They came out. They, you know, some of them come out and you just stand and just stare at what you're doing. And it was kind of a joke, like, the chairs are full. The chairs are always full, because we had these plastic, like, yard chairs. And the people were always asking for more chairs. Because we'd be sweating our brains out, covered in mud in our hair, everything, just working as hard as humanly, physically possible. And these people are sitting and the chairs are full, and we're working for them, and they're watching us. And, you know, a few of them are working hard, like Wani and like Moses. These people are legitimately trying. But the rest of them, they don't have a work ethic. They've never learned it, right? And so watching us work, they think we're insane. They think we're who knows what. But for my first couple days when I went back, I was extremely frustrated. And I have a lot of patience. I have 20 employees and I deal with birds every day. And I have a lot of patience, but I found myself literally like at the extreme of frustration after exerting every effort, traveling halfway across the planet trying to help these people, and they're sitting in a chair watching. And it takes you a couple days to realize why you're there, and that they just don't know, and it's not their fault that they don't get it. And if you give them the chance, you show them it easy, slowly, bit by bit, they get it and they want to try. But you have to slow down. And that's why Stu, who's already out there, he was a godsend for me, because he'd been there 3 months and, you know, he had developed his patience and whatnot. Yeah.
And Steve, I'm assuming that it's the man sitting watching.
Yeah, absolutely. The women were busy getting water and everything. So this is a little cup line on that. It was also the men slaving and sweating. So, you know. But yeah, so this is an overview of our farm. We have some guys who, like, they just watch our stuff. Yeah, they live in our compound, and they just keep an eye on all our farm equipment and whatnot. They live in that little mud hut over there that's just there. So, you know, just looking out over our farm. We have this cover all up there. That's where we have our meetings and stuff. Yeah. So, that's a little flycatcher we caught in an orange butt. Wasn't sure what kind he was. So these are some kids we met on the road. We made pretty good friends with them. I asked them, I said, how's your day going, guys? Fine. I said, no. I said, great. You know, you gotta get some energy going. And so I told Moses to explain to them what to do because they couldn't understand what I wanted. So then I asked them again how their day's going. They're like, great. You know, it was cool. But they're eating sorghum stalks there. They picked them out of our field and it's sweet inside the actual stalk. It's not a harvestable crop or anything, but they've gone and picked them themselves, which is fine. They were just eating it. We told them to come and take corn if they wanted, so they were filling up some old seed bags of corn to take home to their family. Really nice kids, but they come up and they just grab your shirt, you know, shirt. So you just, I'll be back tomorrow. And Jeff fortunately or unfortunately gave me about 600 pounds of gear to haul halfway across the planet. So I had plenty of shirts to give to these kids. This is when we were playing volleyball in the ball land with the crocodiles. So I took some pictures of the guys trying to fish it out. Fortunately, nobody got eaten. But we were right on the Nile, like we were right there. It was really neat. That's where we stayed at night. This is a guy, he's building his house. So he tied his bamboo to the back of his motorcycle. This is 3 weeks ago. And he's driving home and he's dragging it behind. So you see that sometimes. They have the oddest things attached to their motorcycles over there. every day you see something new, you're driving it. You know, so that was one little thing. So what we ended up doing was, these birds are very small and they take a lot of care that we were working with. So we built a pen right at Moses' house so that at night he could take the falcons home and watch their weights and make sure that they were going to be on weight to hunt the next day to take to the farm and everything. And we were able to really do a good job like that because before we were leaving the birds at the farm overnight, it would rain or whatnot, and what happens is these birds won't hunt if they're too heavy, and if they get too light, if they get too thin, then they just die, which fortunately we didn't have happen. But you have to monitor their weights very closely, and we found that the 12 to 15 hours leaving them out on the farm, there's too many variables, and their weight would come back would be in too big of a possible range that we couldn't even predict. Sometimes we got to the farm, we couldn't fly the birds because they were too fat, you know, from the day before. We fed them too much. And then, you know, so he ended up taking them home, and we ended up having just a perfect procedure on there. And like I said, he's still working like that. So these are some little guys who lived in Moses's little complex there. I played soccer with him every morning. He was a happy little kid. Oh, these are my Russian buddies. And they taught me Russian. What happened was these safe camps where we're staying, they have, everybody stays there, but the one we were at was full of Russian helicopter pilots. And these guys worked for the UN. After the Soviet War, the UN went and bought all these Russian helicopters because they were cheap, and brought them to all these impoverished places on the planet to do the UN's kind of work. But they needed to hire the Russians to fly them. So, you know, you see another white guy in Sudan and you're like, hey, you know, it's very different. It's very different because usually the only other white guy I would see all day is a student. And so you see these guys, and I ended up learning Russian from them. They took me to their naval base. We had a Russian steam. You never know what's going to happen. So that's Moses and his finished pen there. And we built this out of, well, there was a lumber thing across the street, and the poor guy had never seen anybody negotiate before. So I ended up, he didn't know what to do, the guy who owned the little lumber store. So they ended up getting lumber for pretty cheap. But yeah, that little pile, go back one, I had to make falcon perches. And in North America, you want a perch, you go online, you buy one, it's $200. A couple days later, you get a perfect thing in the mail. Over there, I need a perch. That's what I had to build with. So, you know, you just get building, you get a saw, and you just figure it out. So yeah, we were cutting and everything. So I love this. Shirt on. Oh, and we went to an orphanage, and we've been working, just a few guys from CEDAS, we found this orphanage. This is completely beside our project. But we found this orphanage sort of near where we're staying, near one of the ministries. And there's kids there who need, like, you could not even comprehend. But you can't think about it like that when you get there, because you find it real quick, you'll go insane. You have to just think, oh, it's so fortunate that these kids are here, because otherwise they would just not, there's no possibility of them being alive for most of them. But yeah, so we went, that bag is from Jeff, and we took all kinds of different clothes and toys and shoes to these kids. Now most of the kids are boys at the orphanage, because the girls, people can get a dowry for it. It's kind of the opposite of China. The girls are more important, and all the families want to keep the girls so they can sell them and get cows, basically. Also, there are girls in that, but the girls don't grow long hair there. They all have short hair. I don't know if it's genetics or malnutrition. I'm not sure. But the girls don't grow long hair, and a lot of them have wigs. Yeah, that's sorry, much. And is it Wade or Why? Why? His brother and his fiance. We went to their office, and Much is he's got a very interesting story. But he's educated here, and he actually became a doctor at University Hospital and went back to Sudan to work. And he's been a huge help to us, and still is all the time. Right now, he is into doctor in Sudan. He runs a construction business, and he does very well with his brothers. They work all over the place, and I think now they're going to start a gravel business, which is a whole other story, but they need gravel there in the worst kind of way. Yeah, it's a rough business. Yeah, so that's a quick preview of what we did in Sudan. And I talked to Moses just yesterday, and our corn is about 5 to 7 days from being hard enough on the plant that the birds won't be able to eat it anymore. And the damage is under 3% for the whole field over the